What do you think will be the effects, if any, of the IOC cutting softball from the Olympics?
In terms of effects, that's a pretty specific question. I know for a large majority of Americans that play, and Europeans as well, but there's a huge disparity in terms of numbers. It was absolutely demoralizing for perhaps 100,000 softball athletes collegiately, Division I, II, and III, that, they had a goal to come and play at a higher level once they were done with college, or even while they were in college. I mean, who wouldn't want to be the Olympic champion of a sport? So when the IOC cut it, there was a lot of controversy involved in that in terms of some of the reasons they cut it and everything. So you had a big campaign that was called Back Softball. You can still go online and see some of the back softball things. The Europeans had that. The ISF, which is the International Softball Federation, they are still actively pursuing trying to get us back in the Olympics. So to answer your question in specific, the ramifications are huge in terms of on personal levels to each and every player, each and every umpire and coach, because everybody always works towards that goal when you're competitive to always play the ultimate game.
Now, I know that you've been very involved even to this point in trying to get softball back into the Olympics, right from the grassroots all the way up to the international level. Can you tell us a little bit about your efforts in that regard?
The one thing about being in the ASA, and it's ASA USA Softball, if you go on the national site, locally we're a franchise, we're just called ASA, which is the Amateur Softball Association. The one thing I did as an umpire, you always want to be competing in higher levels of play. So my goal was, never mind a national championship, I really wanted to be an Olympic umpire, and I'm still working towards that in hopes that that can happen. So as being an umpire, then becoming the commissioner, I decided to join the International Committee, the Foreign Relations Committee, which was a godsend in terms of the fact it helped introduce me to a lot of the Europeans specifically that I've had an opportunity to meet over the last couple of years. For an example, last year I went out to Amsterdam to watch the European local championships, which is a little bit different than you'd think for a national championship. Watch the European local championships. I got to meet 17 to 20 different European federations, as they call themselves, and we get to introduce ourselves to them. This past winter in February, they invited me back out to Brussels for the European Softball Congress, which is basically an ASA meeting in the fact that they discuss rules, they discuss tournaments, and they discuss how to make the program bigger and better. And at that time, we were very fortunate after our initial meetings that we're now working with Europe so that we can help provide them equipment, we can help provide them umpire training. In turn, they are sending umpires over here to work with us. They just sent a small contingent of folks that went to our umpire-in-chief school. We have clinics every 2 years. So we help train them, well, not train them, but help make them better trainers, I apologize, but make them better trainers so that they can go back to Europe and do that as well. So we're trying to create a sister city relationship, and I'm pretty much in the forefront of that, that if someone from one European country wanted to work with Massachusetts, would partner up. Some communities, like for an example, the Yugoslavian Committee wants to work with Chicago because they have an ethnic population that live in there. So we're trying to create that type of relationship so that perhaps we can broaden softball worldwide, just in terms of people understanding it and creating more of a base for people to become more involved within the sport.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.